What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Lee. This is Kate Winslet, Andy Samberg. We've got Alexander Skarsgard. We've got Andrea Riseborough, Marianne Cotillard. You may not have heard of this movie. That's okay. This is a movie that Oscar people have been floating, kicking around for a while. It's existed. It was loosely on the list, perhaps maybe from last year, because the film was like we knew it existed last year. It didn't happen, so it moved into this year, and people were wondering what happened with it. It barely got distribution in America. It's landed a lot better in the UK, so its BAFTA chances are a little bit higher. Kate has a little bit higher, although she did get in the Golden Globes, and Kate has Frances Fisher behind her this season. And she got that campaign going early too. She got Dwayne Johnson to tweet about Lee. Do I think Dwayne Johnson has seen Lee? I do not. I do not. But I don't know, maybe. But I just don't. I know he's trying to be taken. He's got a film next year that he may get nominated for. That sounds crazy, I know, but I think it's like an A24 movie. So anything can happen. Yeah, so he's getting in the race too and pushing for Kate Winslet. So like Kate's got, you know what I'm saying? Like it was fun when we did it for Andrea Riseborough. Like it sucked a little because it like kind of lost on somebody lost out that year who also deserved a nomination. And it was like sort of like the wrong person lost their nomination so that Andrea could slide in. But at least with Andrea Riseborough, you're like, oh my God, that is her best performance. She's fantastic. She's amazing. She's never been nominated before. With Kate Winslet, it's like, she's been nominated multiple times. I'm not even sure this is her best work. Although, the funny thing about Lee is now I've seen this movie twice, neither time with audio description. So, I watched it one time before my deadline for voting. I got it off the Apple Store. It didn't have audio description. I'm aware that apparently did in theaters, so it's frustrating, but it didn't have audio description for video on demand. And then now Hulu has it, so I hadn't released my Lee review yet. So I was like, well, I'll go ahead and redo it, touch it up a little bit, and see if I have any new thoughts. So I've actually seen Lee twice now. I've seen too many movies that I didn't prioritize releasing Lee, and then it appeared on Hulu. Well, Hulu didn't have audio description either, so I've now seen this movie twice. I like what Kate does, and I like how the film supports her. I don't know that it's a great film. I think it's a good film, and that's sort of what is kind of dampening things, is that she's kind of carrying the film forward. She plays, a former model, and she ends up becoming this photographer, war correspondent, and getting, really going for it and getting these great photos that sort of capture the horrors and tragedy of war. And there's stuff in there about, how, her being a woman versus being a man, and we don't send women into combat, that kind of thing, to do, just to take photos. Anyway, but she's fierce and she's guided, and Andy Samberg is doing a dramatic performance, which is amazing in and of itself. And that's the thing I find sort of really interesting, is we keep talking about Lee, but it's I really want to talk about how Andy Samberg is now trying to flex his dramatic chops in a way that makes it wait, is he going to keep doing this? Are we going to be talking about Andy Samberg later in life? And is he? Because he's the kind of person that if you pair with maybe an Alexander Payne, you could get an Oscar-nominated performance out of Andy Samberg. He needs the right writer, and he needs sort of a dramedy, but I could see it. It'd be weird, but I could see it. And it feels weird to say that. Alexander Skarsgård, is another person too who I just feel like is chasing the right role. Marianne and Andrea also already have. Marianne won for Le'Veon Rose, and Andrea was nominated for Two Leslie, so they're both already nominees. And Kate, I think her last was for Steve Jobs. So uh, that's just off the top of my head. But she's got several already on the radar. Um, she's got a Golden Globe nomination for this. It's a good performance. It's just not her best, and it. I'm just somebody who ends up rooting for people. I love to root for people when they are at their best or near their best. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, ooh, this is maybe like a top, especially for somebody like Kate Winslet, who's been in a bunch of things. Like, I want it to feel like a top 5 Kate Winslet performance. I want to celebrate the arrival of a new person, somebody who's burst onto the scene and gave a stunning performance, which is one of the reasons I love Daniel Detweiler and Till. And I still think we can still announce her arrival this year in The Piano Lesson if we don't fuck it up 2 times with her. Jesus. Anyway, but I also really love seeing actors and actresses when they are sort of unexpectedly giving their best work. Something like Pamela Anderson in The Last Showgirl. I mean, that's leaps and bounds her best work. It was like with Simon Rex in Red Rocket. That he had never given anything remotely close to that before. I would argue Ana de Armas in Blonde is easily the best that she's ever given before. So at least up until that point. So I'm just not excited. Watching Lee, I thought the film was fine. I've seen it now twice. I'm like, it's a fine movie. Kate is good at it. Calm down, Francis. You're championing the wrong performance. I kind of felt like, in one hand, I looked at Andrea Riseborough the year that we were pushing Suddenly All for this tiny film. And the year before that, we had, I really liked Dale Dickey in Love Song, and Dale's been around forever. And I was like, where's Francis? There was the movie Mass that everybody loved that had like 4 people who have never been nominated for an Oscar. Some of them critically acclaimed for most of their career. The fact, like Ann Dowd for Mass, like would have felt like the absolute right nomination. Or Jason Isaacs, who's been in 1,000 different things. But for some reason, people didn't get behind that film. And that was a small movie that really needed a push forward. So when I look at Kate Winslet, it's like she doesn't need help. People know who Kate Winslet is. You're just upset because her film didn't get a better distributor. Like, you know who else didn't get a great distributor? Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, who lost out on a Golden Globe nomination. She's great in that. So if you want to watch Kate Winslet play a war correspondent in Lee, I think this is a good film. I don't want her to get an Oscar nomination for it. It doesn't mean I don't like Kate Winslet. It just means I like Kate Winslet better in like 10 other movies. This movie is okay. Nobody's really going to remember Lee. When people reflect, when YouTubers years from now, 10, 20 years from now, reflect on this, if she's nominated for Lee, they're not going to be like, oh my God, what a great nomination. They're going to be like, what was Lee? In the pantheon of Winslet performances, as she continues, she's not in her 80s. This is not like the maybe the last time. You're not trying to push for June Squibb and Thelma. We're going to see her again, and she's going to be great again. This is not the end of her journey or her road. It's a very odd push, and it's for a film that is good, not great. But my official grade, because I've now seen it twice, is unwatchable due to lack of audio description. I still have a floating grade. I haven't changed it. I think it's a B+. Could go up to an A-, could go down to a B. But that's kind of what I'm feeling. That's the vibe that I'm picking up. Good, not great. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.